The underestimated species. Admiral Helena Frost stood at the viewport of the EDF Intrepid, Earth's newest and most advanced warship. The vast expanse of stars stretched before her, each point of light potentially harboring worlds either allied with or against humanity. After 20 years of humanity's presence in the galactic community, their position remained precarious. Admiral, the Galactic Council's transmission is coming through, Lieutenant Commander Wei announced from his communication station. Helena straightened her uniform and nodded. Put it through. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing Supreme Counselor Thraz of the Galactic Hegemony. The Arcosian's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture Helena had learned indicated impatience among their species. Admiral Frost, Thraz's translated voice carried the artificial pleasantness the translation software always added. I trust you've considered our request for human mining colonies to increase their production quotas. I have, Counselor, Helena replied evenly. And as I've explained in our previous 3 conversations, Earth's colonies are already operating at maximum sustainable capacity. Increasing production would violate our environmental protection protocols. All 4 of Thraz's eyes narrowed simultaneously. Humanity's adherence to these self-imposed restrictions is becoming problematic, Admiral. The hegemony has been patient with your species' integration, but resources are needed for the greater good. The greater good as defined by the Arcosian-led hegemony. You mean, Helena said, keeping her voice level despite her rising anger. Your species' continuing defiance is noted, Thraz said coldly. The Council will discuss appropriate measures. Thraz out. The transmission ended, and Helena let out a long breath. They're going to make a move against us soon, said a voice behind her. General Marcus Chen, Earth Defense Forces head of intelligence, approached the viewport. Our infiltration units have intercepted communications between the Arcosians and their Zethral allies. They're planning something significant. Helena's jaw tightened. Show me. In the secure briefing room, Helena, Marcus, and the ship's senior officers gathered around a holographic display showing intercepted communication logs and movement patterns of hegemony fleets. Over the past 3 months, the hegemony has repositioned 47% of their fleet to sectors adjacent to human space. Marcus explained, highlighting clusters of red dots surrounding the blue sphere representing Earth's territory. Their official explanation is routine exercises, but our intelligence suggests otherwise. Captain Elisa Dominguez, the Intrepid's commanding officer, pointed to several highlighted transmission logs. These encrypted messages between Arcosian Command and their Zethral allies discuss containment protocols and a final solution to the human problem. They've been planning this since we refused to surrender control of our fusion technology 5 years ago, Marcus added. The hegemony operates by keeping member species dependent and controlled. Our rapid technological advancement and self-sufficiency threatens their power structure. Helena studied the display, her mind racing through scenarios. What are our options? We're outnumbered approximately 8-1, Captain Dominguez stated. At least on paper. A slight smile crossed Helena's face. On paper, yes. General Chen. I believe it's time to activate Protocol Prometheus. Marcus nodded solemnly. The President has already given preliminary approval, pending your assessment of the situation. And the fleet? Helena asked. All 12 Titan-class vessels are in position, hidden within the asteroid fields and gas giants of our outer systems. The additional 43 ships of various classes are stationed as we discussed. Admiral, Marcus replied. Helena turned to her officers. The hegemony believes they know everything about our military capabilities. They think we only have 17 outdated cruisers and a handful of defense platforms. She allowed herself a rare smile. They're about to learn how dangerous it is to underestimate humanity. 3 days later, Helena stood on the bridge of the Intrepid as the first wave of hegemony ships appeared at the edge of the Sol system. The massive vessels dwarfed Earth's publicly known defensive fleet, exactly as expected. Incoming transmission from the Arcosian flagship, Lieutenant Commander Wei announced. The face of Fleet Commander Gorzo, a high-ranking Arcosian military leader, appeared on screen. Admiral Frost, by order of the Galactic Hegemony, Earth and all human colonies are to surrender immediately. Your defiance of hegemony directives can no longer be tolerated. Helena raised an eyebrow. On what grounds does the hegemony make these demands, Commander? Humanity has been classified as a destabilizing influence within galactic society, Gorzo stated flatly. You will surrender control of your government, military, and key technologies to hegemony oversight immediately. Failure to comply will result in forced compliance. Helena looked around at her bridge crew, each face reflecting the same resolve she felt. I'm afraid that won't be happening, Commander. Humanity doesn't respond well to threats. Gorzo's upper lip curled back, revealing rows of sharp teeth. Your species' arrogance is remarkable given your position. Your outdated fleet cannot hope to stand against even this single battle group. Perhaps, Helena replied, but there's something you should understand about humans, Commander. We're very good at keeping secrets. She nodded to Wei. End transmission. The screen went blank. Helena opened a secure channel to all Earth Defense Force ships. All vessels, this is Admiral Frost. Activate Protocol Prometheus. I repeat, activate Protocol Prometheus. Throughout the Sol system, hidden within the rings of Saturn, the atmosphere of Jupiter, the asteroid belt, and dozens of other concealed positions, ships began powering up. These weren't the outdated cruisers the hegemony had been allowed to observe during their diplomatic visits to human space. These were the true might of humanity's fleet, vessels incorporating technologies that humans had developed in secret over the past 15 years. On the Intrepid's main view screen, Helena watched as the first of the Titan-class battleships, the EDF Hercules, emerged from its hiding place within Saturn's rings. At nearly 2 kilometers long, its sleek black hull absorbed rather than reflected light, making it appear as a ship-shaped void against the stars. The hegemony fleet has detected our hidden vessels, reported the tactical officer. They're adjusting formation and charging weapons. All ships, defensive positions, Helena ordered. Activate quantum shields. Weapons free, but prioritize disabling over destruction when possible. The hegemony fleet opened fire first, streams of plasma and energy weapons blazing across space toward Earth's defenders. For a moment, Helena held her breath, waiting to see if the theoretical would become reality. The quantum shields, technology the hegemony believed was centuries beyond human capability, flared to life, absorbing the incoming fire. On the view screen, the Hercules and the other Titan-class vessels began to advance toward the hegemony fleet, seemingly impervious to their attacks. Shields holding at 92%, reported the tactical officer, unable to keep the pride from his voice. The Arcosians are attempting to adjust the frequency of their weapons, but the quantum field is adapting faster than they can compensate. Helena allowed herself a small smile. Return fire. Target their propulsion and weapon systems. Let's show them what humanity can do when backed into a corner. The human ships launched their attack, unleashing weapon systems that the hegemony had never seen before. Focused graviton beams sliced through the supposedly impenetrable Arcosian shields. Quantum-locked missiles phased partially out of normal spacetime, bypassing defensive systems entirely before rematerializing inside enemy vessels. On the main view screen, Helena watched as one of the largest hegemony warships listed to the side, its engines crippled by the Hercules' first salvo. Another exploded in a brilliant flash as its power core destabilized. The Arcosian flagship is attempting to retreat, Wei announced. They're calling for reinforcements. Jam their long-range communications, Helena ordered, and bring us alongside their flagship. I want to have another conversation with Commander Gorzo. As the Intrepid maneuvered through the chaos of battle, Helena couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. For years, humanity had played the part of the grateful newcomer, the technological underdog just happy to have a seat at the galactic table, all while knowing that the moment would come when the hegemony's true intentions would be revealed. The Intrepid pulled alongside the massive Arcojan flagship, which was now drifting with damaged engines. Several other human vessels surrounded it, their weapons trained on the vulnerable ship. Channel open to the Arcojan flagship, Way announced. Commander Gorzo's face appeared on screen again, his four eyes wide with shock and rage. "What trickery is this?" he demanded. "These weapons, these ships, they're impossible." "Not impossible, Commander," Helena replied calmly. "Just carefully hidden. Did you really think humanity would reveal all of its capabilities to a hegemony that has systematically subjugated every species it encounters? The Hegemony Council will never accept this defiance," Gorzo snarled. "This is merely one battle group. When the full might of our forces arrives—" "They won't be arriving anytime soon," Helena interrupted. "While we've been having this conversation, similar scenes have been playing out in 12 other systems, where your forces were positioned to attack human colonies. The hegemony's carefully planned subjugation of Earth has failed, Commander." Gorzo's face paled to an ashen gray. "What do you want?" "For now, your surrender and retreat from human space," Helena said. "Long term, a renegotiation of humanity's position within galactic politics. The age of Arcosian domination is over, Commander. It's time for a more equitable arrangement." As the battle concluded, Helena returned to the viewport, watching as disabled hegemony ships were escorted to the edge of the system by human vessels. The stars beyond seemed somehow brighter now. "Message from Earth Command," Way called out. "The President sends her congratulations and requests your presence at an emergency meeting of the Human Leadership Council." Helena nodded, her eyes still fixed on the stars. "Tell her I'll be there. And notify all fleet commanders. This was just the beginning. The real work starts now." The reckoning. The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Hegemony buzzed with agitation. Representatives from over 200 species filled the tiered seating, their voices creating a cacophony of sounds that the translation systems struggled to process. At the center of it all stood Supreme Counselor Thraz, his four eyes darting nervously between the outraged delegates. "Order," Thraz called, pounding a ceremonial staff against the floor. "The council will come to order." Gradually, the noise subsided, though tension still permeated the chamber. "We have convened this emergency session to address the situation with the human territories," Thraz began, his voice carefully modulated. 3 standard cycles ago, hegemony forces engaged in a defensive action against human aggression. Defensive action. The sharp voice cut through the chamber as Ambassador Sarah Chen of Earth stood from her seat in the lower tier. "Is that what the hegemony is calling an unprovoked invasion of sovereign human space?" Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Many species had only received the Arcosian version of events. "The human speaks out of turn," hissed Delegate Vrex of the Zetherol, the Arcosians' closest allies. "The human speaks truth," countered another voice. Ambassador Nilox of the Trilaxians stood, his crystalline form refracting light across the chamber. "My government has reviewed the unaltered sensor logs from the engagement. Hegemony forces entered human territory and fired the first shots." More voices joined the growing argument. Helena Frost, seated beside Ambassador Chen as Earth's military representative, leaned back and watched the chaos unfold. This was exactly what they had anticipated. "What concerns me most," called out the representative from the Volran Confederacy, a species known for their neutrality, "is not who fired first, but the military capabilities humanity revealed. Technologies that, according to our scientists, should be centuries beyond their development." All eyes turned toward the human delegation. Ambassador Chen stood again, her posture relaxed but commanding. "For 20 years, humanity has been transparent about our peaceful intentions while being systematically deceived about the hegemonies. We shared much of our technology and knowledge, but we kept some advancements to ourselves. A prudent decision, as recent events have proven. The humans have been planning this insurrection from the beginning." Vrex accused, mandibles clicking in agitation. Helena decided it was time to speak. She rose slowly, her admiral's uniform drawing all eyes in the chamber. What we planned for was survival. From our first contact with the hegemony, we observed how other junior species were treated. Resource extraction worlds with limited autonomy, technological development restricted to serve hegemony interests. She activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. These are intercepted communications between Arcosian High Command and Zethral military leaders, discussing the containment and control of human worlds, plans that date back 15 years, almost to our first contact. The chamber erupted again as the evidence was displayed for all to see. Several of the older, more established species began to demand access to the complete communications archive. "This is fabrication," Fraz declared, but his voice lacked conviction. "Everything has been verified by independent analysts," Ambassador Chen responded calmly, "including details of similar containment operations against 7 other species over the past century." As the chamber dissolved into arguments again, Helena received a secure message on her communication device. She leaned toward Ambassador Chen. "It's happening," she whispered. Chen nodded almost imperceptibly and continued addressing the council. Far from the political theater of the council chamber, the real power play was unfolding. While the hegemony's attention was focused on the diplomatic crisis, human stealth vessels had positioned themselves throughout Arcosian space. They weren't there for an attack. They were there to reveal truth. Admiral Marcus Chen, Helena's brother and head of Earth's intelligence division, stood on the bridge of the EDF Shadow. The stealth vessel hovered undetected near the largest population center in Arcosian space, a massive orbital structure housing billions. "All systems in position," Admiral reported his tactical officer. Marcus nodded grimly. "Begin transmission." Throughout Arcosian space, on every communication channel, display screen, and information terminal, the carefully constructed propaganda of the ruling elite began to fall apart. Billions of ordinary Arcosians watched in shock as evidence of their leaders' deceptions played before their eyes. The suppression of technological advances that could have improved lives, the manufactured conflicts with other species, the diversion of resources to the ruling class. Most damning were the secret recordings of Supreme Counselor Thraz and his inner circle, discussing the necessary subjugation of their own population through controlled information and manufactured external threats. "The transmission is reaching approximately 94% of all Arcosian information networks," reported the communications officer. "We're seeing massive public gatherings forming in multiple population centers." Marcus watched the real-time feeds with mixed emotions. This wasn't just about humanity's survival anymore. It was about breaking the system of oppression that had kept dozens of species, including the Arcosians themselves, under the thumb of a small elite. "Sir, we're detecting multiple Arcosian defense vessels powering up," the tactical officer warned. "They've identified our transmission source." "Hold position," Marcus ordered. "Continue broadcasting until the last possible moment. The people need to see everything." Back in the council chamber, the emergency session had devolved into chaos. Multiple delegation heads were demanding Thraz's immediate removal. Others called for a complete restructuring of the hegemony. In the midst of the turmoil, Helena received another update. She stood, her voice cutting through the noise. "Supreme Counselor Thraz, while we've been debating here, the citizens of your own worlds have learned the truth. Your military forces are standing down rather than firing on civilian protesters. Your ruling council has been detained by your own security forces." Thraz's face drained of color. "What have you done?" "We've done what you feared most," Ambassador Chen answered. "We've shared information freely." Delegates began receiving their own updates, many looking at the humans with new understanding, and some with newfound fear. Helena addressed the chamber again. "Humanity doesn't seek to replace one empire with another. We propose a new compact between species, one based on genuine cooperation rather than domination." From the upper tiers, a voice spoke that silenced the entire chamber. The ancient delegate from the Phyrexian Convergence, one of the oldest species in the galaxy, leaned forward on gnarled limbs. For 10,000 years, we have watched empires rise and fall. The Arcosian hegemony has lasted longer than most, but its foundation of deception and control made its eventual collapse inevitable. The ancient being's multifaceted eyes seemed to bore into Helena. The question now is, what will humanity build in its place? Your species has demonstrated remarkable technological prowess and strategic thinking. You have also demonstrated restraint. You could have destroyed the hegemony fleet entirely, yet you disabled and captured where possible. Helena met the ancient being's gaze steadily. We want to build a genuine alliance, not a hierarchy of species, but a community of equals. Earth has already drafted a proposal for a new interstellar charter. Ambassador Chen activated another holographic display, showing the proposed structure for a new galactic organization. Equal representation, technological sharing with sensible safeguards, and mutual defense obligations. No species subjugated to another. The Phyrexian delegate studied the proposal for a long moment before responding. Bold, idealistic, perhaps naive. The being's mouthparts shifted in what Helena recognized as their version of a smile. But a welcome change nonetheless. 3 months later, Helena stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Alliance headquarters, constructed in neutral space. Below her, representatives from 178 species gathered to sign the new charter. The former Arcosian Empire had fractured into several independent governments, with the more progressive factions joining the alliance. The Zetharal had initially threatened retaliation, but quickly realized they lacked the military strength without their Arcosian allies. "Quite a view," said a voice behind her. Marcus approached, now wearing the formal uniform of the Alliance Defense Forces 1st Joint Command. "Worth every sacrifice to get here," Helena replied. "Though I doubt it's going to be smooth sailing from here." Marcus chuckled. "Of course not. Some species are joining out of genuine belief in the principles, others out of fear of human military power, and still others just to keep an eye on us. And the outer regions, still chaotic. The power vacuum created by the hegemony's collapse has led to some opportunistic grabs for territory. The alliance will have its work cut out maintaining stability." Helena nodded thoughtfully. Humanity went from newcomers to major power brokers in less than 3 months. Some species are bound to resent that, alliance or not. "Better respected and somewhat feared than subjugated," Marcus replied. "Besides, we've been transparent about our intentions since the conflict ended. The new technologies we've shared have already improved conditions on dozens of worlds." Below them, the signing ceremony began. Ambassador Chen, now elected as one of the 5 co-chairs of the Alliance Council, was delivering an address about cooperation and shared prosperity. "Do you think it will last?" Helena asked quietly. Marcus considered the question. "This iteration, perhaps not forever. But it's a step towards something better than what came before. And if there's one thing humans are good at, it's adapting when things fall apart." Helena smiled at that. "True enough. The Arcosians thought they had us figured out, a predictable, manageable species to be contained and controlled. Their mistake was studying our past rather than understanding our potential," Marcus said. "They saw our conflicts, our divisions, and assumed weakness. Instead," Helena finished, "they discovered what countless human adversaries throughout our history have learned the hard way. Never corner a species that turned itself from cave-dwelling primates into spacefaring civilization in the blink of cosmic time," Marcus agreed. As they watched the new galactic order taking shape below them, Helena felt both pride and caution. Humanity had won its place among the stars, not through conquest, but by defending itself so effectively that others had no choice but to respect them. The true challenge would come in the years ahead, using that respect to build something that would last, something better than what had come before. But if there was one thing Helena had absolute faith in, it was humanity's capacity to face whatever challenges the universe might bring. Their warships had changed the galaxy. Now their ideas would have the chance to do the same. The end.